Greetings and welcome to TINC 2025, the Turnaround Industry Networking Conference. My name is John Camp and I'm the Managing Director of AP Networks office in the United States, located here in Houston, Texas. And on behalf of the entire organization, we're very excited to have you here, and I hope you find today's presentations very value added for you in your organization. I'm going to be going over a brief introduction to TINC. I'm going to talk a little bit about who we are as a company. I'll go over a brief overview of the agenda and then talk a little bit about the app and the interface and the Q&A portion. So I hope you enjoy. So first and foremost, what is TINC? As I said before, TINC is the Turnaround Industry Networking Conference. It was founded in 2003 and still, as of today, is an owners-only forum. So there's no vendors here. There's nobody outside of turnaround professionals that are dedicated to the exchange of best practices that drive safe, event-free, and predictable shutdown, turnaround, and outage outcomes. When we were founded, there were plenty of conferences out there in the industry, but we noted that turnarounds in particular was an area that companies didn't quite see the value in. And I think over the last 23 years, TINC is one of the vessels that we've used to really change that mindset, to put turnarounds in the forefront, shutdowns in the forefront, outages in the forefront, and now projects as well. So again, we are a network of professionals committed to improving safety, committed to improving our overall business performance, so making these events more predictable. It's committed to networking, which I'm going to tell you how to do this week, even though we're a virtual conference, and overall pushing the boundaries of STO knowledge and management. So TINC is really the forum and the vessel that we use as a company to be able to talk about some of our new tools, our new practices, our new benchmarks, and data analytics. So again, I hope you enjoy and see value over the next day or so. As I mentioned, it's a virtual event. It is truly a global event. I'm going to talk in a few minutes about some of our regional sessions that are going to be held in person. But essentially what you're going to hear today, you can see on the right-hand side of this slide, the agenda highlights. So we're going to talk about some emerging trends and proven practices in terms of capital projects and STO integration. So my colleague TJ Feltz is going to be the first presentation, and he's going to be talking about essentially bridging turnarounds and capital projects. We're going to have Nathan Centofanti talk about the latest STO trends and performance across the industry. This is something that we've really done since the inception of TINC. It's something that I know a lot of our clients look forward to every year, to be able to take that industry data and those trends and go back to their organizations and discuss those. And then you're also, for those of you who benchmark with us, you're also going to be able to understand how does your organization rack and stack and compare to industry from the standpoint of preparation, i.e. readiness, and then outcomes. Next, we're going to have Brett Schrader, who's going to be introducing and presenting the Turn on Excellence Award. So we have a couple winners this year. So we look forward to that every year at TINC, is to celebrate the excellence in our industry. And then we're going to have some updates to our digital platforms and learning systems delivered by Alex Brandrick, one of my associates from our Canadian office in AP Canada. And then finally, Pete Shirley is going to come up and he's going to talk about some industry challenges and recent trends and some analytics that we've done around some of the feedback reports that we've provided, and really the direction that shows us how the industry is trending. So an action-packed day, again, a very value intensive day, and hope you enjoy it. I mentioned previously a little bit about our regional networking sessions. So for those of you that want the in-person value that TINC brings with you, we've shifted now to a model where we have these regional sessions in each one of our regions. You can see Houston, Amsterdam, Perth, Calgary, and Singapore. They're day-long sessions. These are the current dates that we have for our 2026 regional networking sessions. So you can see 3 of the 5 are going to be in May of 2026. That's going to be in Houston, Amsterdam, and Singapore. Calgary is actually scheduled now for February 17th. So if you're in Canada and you fancy a trip to Calgary, please register for that. Again, it's a day-long session, a lot of in-person networking with your peers, discussions on best practices, trends, and then we usually have a really fun evening program. This year we have 57 different companies represented at TINC and the Network Edge. You can see a screenshot of the various companies here. So heavily biased in oil and gas, chemicals, petrochemicals, both downstream, upstream, offshore, truly a global cross-section, if you will, of the industry major players and movers and shakers. Out of those 57 companies, we've got 125 locations that are represented. And you can see here the darker blue colors here represent more attendees for the individual countries. So you can see pretty heavy in the United States, Canada, Brazil, and then also Asia, South America, Central America, Europe, and Australia, New Zealand. So very good attendance again this year. So each year at TINC, I mentioned that we are really using this as the vessel for our company to be able to share emerging trends and practices and new data analytics and benchmarking capabilities and technologies and things. And if I just go through a little bit of the life cycle of TINC here, starting out with some of our performance research and measuring turnaround readiness through the Turnaround Readiness Index, as we get into the 2010s there, we really started to focus much more on capital integration. And you're going to hear my colleague TJ come up next and talk about capital integration and some of the trends that we see there. 2015 was really a revolutionary year for us as we introduced the Turnaround Scope Index benchmarks. So allowing your organization to see how your scope counts compared to industry, how your labor hour estimates and your cost estimates compared to industry actuals for similar scope counts. And then you can see as we've trended into the 2020s, getting into artificial intelligence, machine learning, organizational benchmarking, into turnaround governance, learning systems. And then this year, really looking at the bridging of capital projects and turnarounds and what does the data say and what do the analytics tell us when it comes to readiness and outcomes of those events where there is so much capital being driven into the shutdown and turnaround window. We like to mention every year that TINC is governed by a code of conduct. So we are governed by the APQC American Productivity and Quality Center Code of Conduct. If you're interested in reading this code of conduct, it can be found on the APQC website. Now I want to go into a little bit of detail as far as who we are as a company, for those of you that may not be familiar with us. So who is AP Networks? What's in our DNA? What's our mission statement? We see ourselves as the global leader in driving STO and capital project performance. And so for us, our goal in life is to make our clients' shutdowns, turnarounds, outages, and capital projects more predictable, more competitive, more sustainable, more repeatable. And we do that through a variety of means. One of the ways that we do that is through our data and our predictive analytics. You're going to hear some of that today, particularly in Nathan's presentation, but really sprinkled throughout all of my colleagues' presentations. We're able to take that data and those analytics. We're able to tell you how well or poorly you performed in comparison to industry, where you can get the most gains. And then from a predictive analytics standpoint, how ready are you prior to a shutdown, turnaround, or outage? And where does the majority of your risk lie? Are you carrying a lot of schedule risk? Are you carrying a lot of cost slip risk? And that really allows our clients and the organizations that we work with to be able to increase their readiness and manage that risk. We also do that through our tools. So you're going to hear about some of our tools again today. You're going to hear about Turnaround Network. You're going to hear about things like Navitrack. If you join us again tomorrow for the Network Edge, we're going to take a bit of a deeper dive into some of that tool set. So whether you're a current user or a prospective licensee and you want to have some more information on our tools and technologies, feel free to join us tomorrow. And then we also do it through our content and our expertise. So we've got folks out there that have been in your chair in the industry. When we combine these three tools together, it provides us with a really powerful solution and a really powerful ability to answer the questions that you continuously bring to us. I mentioned briefly our digital platforms and e-learning systems. So again, this gets into our tool set, our cloud-based tool set. On the left-hand side of the screen, you can see our digital platforms where the majority of our tools reside, including Navitrack, including Turnaround Readiness Pyramid, including the Risk Manager. And again, we're going to get into that in a lot more detail tomorrow in the Network Edge session. So I highly recommend if you're interested that you join those sessions. And on the right-hand side, you can see our AP learning systems. So these are things where if you're a planner, a scheduler, or cost controller, and you're looking to get either certification or you're looking to get additional training in those areas, this is where our AP learning systems are really designed to help you out. This is just a brief snapshot of our STO services. I'm not going to go into each one of these in depth, but rather just provide you with a high-level overview. But prior to and post turnaround, we have our turnaround assist program. So these are essentially assurance reviews prior to an event, and then after the fact, it's a look back at the entirety of your planning and preparation phase, your execution phase. Again, trying from a data and analytical standpoint to provide you insight into where your risk lies, how well prepared you are for the event, and then how well did you perform in comparison to the industry. We also do some corporate and site benchmarking, some scope benchmarking, which I mentioned previously. We do quite a bit around work process development. And then we also have a suite of tools that we call our turnaround value practices. So our turnaround value practices are these practices that we look at that are a bit out of the ordinary, where we find, if you're in a state where you're improving your readiness, but you want to get to the next step where you're making your turnarounds even more competitive, these are the sorts of practices that are really going to provide you with that value going forward. Things like risk management sessions, steering team sessions, risk-based scope reviews, operational readiness reviews, scope index benchmarking, and so on. We really do have a global footprint as an organization. So I mentioned that I'm joining us from Houston, Texas. You're going to hear just today from some of my colleagues from Canada, from the Washington, D.C. area. And then we also have offices in Amsterdam, which handles Europe, the Middle East, and Africa. We have an office in Singapore, which handles Asia Pacific, and then an office in Perth, which handles Australia. A little bit about the interface for today and tomorrow. So again, this is a virtual conference. Obviously, we're all joining this virtually. But we wanted to give you the ability to network as much as we can through either the web application, which is being done via Sched, and you can see the URL for the web app there on the left-hand side of your screen, or via the mobile app. And the mobile app is available on either the Apple Store or on Google Play. And if you just go into either the Apple Store or Google Play and you search for TINC 2025, you'll be able to download that app. When you're in the app, you'll get all sorts of decent information in here. So as you can see on the screen, obviously I've got the agenda pulled up for this year's conference. So we've got the agenda not just for today, but also for tomorrow. So if you're interested in what we're going to talk about at the Network Edge, you can feel free to access that agenda via the mobile app or the web app. You'll be able to see, as I said previously, a wealth of information on both of these, both from the web app and the conference app itself. You'll be able to see an agenda. You'll be able to see the list of speakers, some of our tools. You'll have a list of attendees. You'll have a list of your AP Networks relationship managers. So for each of the client companies that we have included, there's an AP Networks point of contact. That's going to be your primary relationship manager. So for example, if you have data that's included in Nathan's presentation, that data is blinded. The person who sent you your code for that presentation is in fact your AP Networks relationship manager. But if you're curious as far as who that person is, if you just click on that relationship manager tab, it'll tell you. And again, it's going to allow you the opportunity to network and connect with other attendees. Important to note, after the conference, you will receive the video recordings and the presentations via these web apps or via the mobile app that you see here. It's going to be available on demand after the conference. We'll be posting that onto these platforms. I mentioned before that we can use these apps to network and connect with other attendees. One thing that's important as you go through this is to make sure that you make your profile and your schedule public. So you're going to want to go into your privacy settings on both of these. So on the web app, you can see if I go to the top right-hand side of the screen there and I go to my profile, you'll see privacy and email. All you have to do is just go ahead and make your profile and schedule public, and then save those settings, and then you'll be able to actually connect and link up with your fellow attendees. So you can chat with each other, you can share contact information, you can see your fellow attendees, and it's a nice way for us to be able to link up and get some networking, albeit we're at a virtual conference. But yeah, it's going to allow you the opportunity to chat and network with each other. And then finally, we've got the Network Edge. So the Network Edge is coming up tomorrow. So the Network Edge is an overview of our digital tools and our digital platforms. So this is going to be done this coming Thursday, December 11th. And you can see the times there. So the times all the way in the far right-hand side of the screen there, they're all in US Central Standard Time. And we've really got something for everybody. So if you're a complete new user of Turnaround Network, or if you are a prospective user of Turnaround Network and you really don't know what our tool set provides and you're interested to see, we've got a couple different sessions. So you can see the very first session and the very last session actually are both going to be delivered by Mimi Shetu, my colleague in Bethesda. And she's going to be walking through a bit of an overview and an introduction to the Turnaround Network and the various tool suites that we have in there, including Navitrack, including Pixis Access and Learn, which is our risk management action item and lessons learned software, including the Turnaround Readiness Pyramid, the cost of change calculator, and the risk manager. At 9 o'clock Central Standard Time, I'm actually going to be delivering a demo for turnaround network leadership and management level personnel. So if you're somebody who is either a turnaround manager or somebody in a corporate leadership role, and you want to know about how turnaround network and the tool suite embedded in turnaround network can assist you in the performance of your duties or in the understanding of your risks, I'm going to be going through some real world examples of how our clients have used our tools. So what happens if your turnaround is delayed? What if the unit crashes down and you have to delay your turnaround by 2 months? What's that going to do to your potential cost performance, for example? We've got data analytics and tools embedded in Turnaround Network that can help you understand that. If you've got a late capital project that you've decided to accept, that comes with potential material threats, what does that mean from the standpoint of schedule and cost slip or risk in the event, right? Is that capital project always going to make sense to add when you look at the potential cost and schedule slip? And these are all things I think anecdotally as turnout professionals, you know, are driving risk into the event. Our tool suite can help you understand how much risk that is. Are we talking about $1 million? Or are we talking about several $1 million of risk or schedule delays or potential safety risks? We're also going to have an overview of our e-learning. Again, if I'm a prospective planner, prospective cost controller, how is it that I'm able to get some training material and certifications that are going to assist me in the performance of my duties? My colleague Brian Doogie is going to talk about the Capital Project Network and InTrack and how do we link turnarounds and projects, which is a great segue for our next presentation. And then finally, we're going to have a presentation on Modomo, our mobbing and demobbing software that we've introduced to a few of our clients this year, and they found tremendous value in as well. And that's going to be done by Alexia Tovar, my colleague from AP Vantage. So we are going to have the ability to ask questions and have your questions answered throughout this conference. So if you look at your screen, you're going to see essentially a box that says Q&A. If you want to type in your questions, and by all means, you can type in your questions as the presenters are speaking. We're not going to answer the questions until the end of the presentation, the question and answer session. But if we're on a slide and you're a bit confused by something or you want some additional information, at that time, feel free to just punch in your question in the Q&A chat. We're always going to be monitoring that Q&A chat. So there may be some things that we answer via text as they come up. And then for some of the other questions, the speakers are going to wait until they're done with their presentation and answer them in real time. So again, we really want this to be an interactive session. We want this to be a networking session. And the questions and answers is one way that we go about making sure that we can do that. So with that being said, I said that Brian's presentation tomorrow is a good segue into the next presentation because that next presentation is going to be delivered by TJ Feltz. TJ is our Director of Capital Projects. He's based in our office here in Houston, Texas. TJ is a proud Aggie, and I know he's looking forward to the college football playoffs. And TJ is going to be talking about essentially bridging the gaps between turnarounds and capital projects. So that age-old push-pull, if you will, between the turnaround group and the capital projects groups. And what are some trends and some emerging practices that we're seeing that are going to allow those teams to work better together, to integrate better, and hopefully see better performance at the end of the day. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome TJ Feltz.